Today we talk about self-diagnosing on WebMD and healthcare marketing on the hashtag DOYO Hey everybody, Dennis Roy, founder of DOYO Live Digital Marketing Interactive Design Conference, and today we're going to talk about healthcare marketing, something that I have a very deep-rooted history in, starting my career in healthcare back around 2001, and living a foot in both worlds, both the pre-Web 2.0, defined by the rebirth of the internet around 2006 with smartphones and Facebook and social media, and that post era and that pre-era where it was the .com bust, but it was more reliant upon like the in-person, the direct. There were less delivery channels, and we would go out and go door to door and educate doctors and hospitals on the concepts and the procedures that we had. So what I want to talk to you today is that some very profound statistics. And first of all, again, kind of come back to my experience even in this space way back, dating back even to 2007. So if you go and look on YouTube, and I'll actually put it into the show notes here, I've got a video that we did for an MRI facility back in 2000. It was actually published on August 3rd, 2007. And that's really interesting because August 3rd is an awesome date. That's the same date as DOYO Live, 10 years later, the anniversary of me producing this video, which now actually has not been marketed in quite some time, but it was a educational video on a MRI facility that I was actually partnered in, a stand-up MRI, and it's up to 58,000 views on YouTube. In addition to that, there's another article that's floating around out there from 2009 in Health Imaging IT, which is a national trade publication about me being quoted as talking about utilizing social media marketing in healthcare. And now you hear that term today, and it's really not a big deal, right? Every healthcare organization that you can pretty much find in 2017 has adopted some sort of digital strategy. Hey Jay, thanks for joining. Reed, thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate it. So just about every healthcare organization has adopted some form of digital marketing with a website, blog, social media for engagement. There's Healthgrades, there's WebMD. If you're like me, you wake up in the morning, you've got a cough, you start self-diagnosing on WebMD, and you realize that like you've not been to some third world nation in the past month, so you don't have sugar dye fumbo. So the point of the matter is this, is that back in 2007, national trade publications and critics in healthcare were saying, hey, there's no way in heck that you can be on a social media platform marketing a healthcare services organization on the same platform that college kids are posting themselves at cake parties. And when you fast forward and get into DeLorean and jump into 2017, it's very evident that this is the way that we communicate on a consistent basis. We look up symptoms. We look at ratings for doctors on Healthgrades. We tend to engage with healthcare organizations over social media. The biggest user of, the biggest proponent or the biggest adoption rate of social media and most engagement happens to be pediatric hospitals. And the reason behind that is that, number one, it's kids, and number two, typically the decision maker in every household in healthcare typically comes back to the mom, the person that runs the house, and they dictate the healthcare. So naturally, if it's a pediatric hospital, they're going to be on they're going to be on social media. There's going to be a mass adoption of that. There's many different avenues that people go down. And so what did I want to tell you about? First of all, coming from Fathom Online Marketing, which, by the way, John Pogach from Fathom is going to be speaking at DOYO Live 2017 on B2P, business-to-person marketing. And a lot of this research comes from Reagan Communications, which also was partnered with Mayo Clinic on their Social Media Healthcare Summit, which we have a number of people at DOYO Live that have presented at that, including myself, Dr. Mike Sevilla, and Lisa Arledge Powell will all be at DOYO Live. So there's a nice healthcare marketing track, and I guess maybe that's the point that I should have got to a lot sooner. But 80% of people today are looking for some sort of connection and telemedicine way beyond a traditional doctor visit. 70% of Americans own a smartphone. 71% of the people use a wearable technology every day. So it's very evident that we're a very technologically savvy society. At least 70% of us are, if not more. 80 to 90% of all healthcare decisions start with some sort of online search. So it makes a lot of sense for a healthcare organization, especially a service provider, to have some sort of digital presence, whether that's a website, that's a blog, some sort of content marketing strategy. But the challenging part is that so many healthcare organizations are so afraid to be on a digital mechanism because of HIPAA and the Patient Privacy Act, which is legitimate, by the way. Making false claims or making a claim that could potentially hold you liable for some sort of lawsuit. But Dr. Mike Sevilla at Salem Family Practice has done a fantastic job for a little over 10 years now of a doctor blog educating people on social media. He flies all over the country educating physicians and healthcare professionals on appropriate use for social media. And he's still a practicing physician as well. Sean Dent, who is a certified nurse, blogged every day with a vlog every day for 365 days straight on how and what nurses should be expecting as they enter the field. And it was everything from clinical discussions to just day-to-day grind of being a nurse. And that has a tremendous amount of engagement for both of these individuals that tell these personal stories. You have to obviously be very careful of making false claims. So instead of saying it improves your health, you have to use words like impact your health. And those are the sorts of things that from a communications perspective that you have to be careful about. You obviously cannot share patient information, but then again, there's also a way that you can incorporate patients in that. So what I want to talk to you a little bit is a couple different ways that you can engage from a healthcare organization to build a following and obviously be an advocate for good health in the community, to grow a fan base. Number one is a content-driven marketing strategy. That's a huge proponent of DOYO Live. Last year we had Joe Pulizzi keynote as from Content Marketing World, a top 50 influencer in Forbes. This year we've got several tracks that are dedicated towards content marketing. But in that genre, as a organization, you can develop an entire video library at this point, whether it's live video or recorded video, on how to stay healthy and give away advice. Now, you can give away advice on proper stretching before athletic contests, how to cool down after an athletic event, diabetes health. Obviously, so many Americans are impacted with diabetes. Healthcare organizations could be putting out content on a consistent basis on proper diet, exercise, diabetes management. The pediatric market, again, there's all sorts of different ways and aspects that you can look at this from a content perspective, that you could be putting together interesting, compelling content on a consistent basis to educate us, the consumer, the patient, on these various topics on health. They're all natively built in. Sit down with your team, go down through an editorial calendar, brainstorm a bunch of ideas. Maybe it's service line related. You start with cardiac, in the cardiac unit, and you start to talk about high cholesterol, heart arrhythmia, the caffeine on the heart, those sorts of things, and then you start to build out your content map around that. There's also different months. So from a Movember perspective, prostate health, prostate cancer awareness month, breast cancer awareness month. There's all these months. And what organizations typically do is they rely upon that month as the month to really do the promotion, the awareness. But if you build the awareness of the other 11 months out of the year for breast cancer awareness, when it comes time to have breast cancer awareness month, you'll have a lot more engagement. So look to put out content based upon those awareness months well in advance. Same thing with Movember. Movember is a really cool thing that most people will grow a mustache during the month of Movember to commemorate and create awareness for getting your prostate checked. And if you have that engagement throughout the year, your campaign then becomes much more robust. You could get creative with Instagram and take pictures, have people take selfies, tag your healthcare organization with their mustache. You can obviously, I've seen local healthcare organizations get barbers involved for the end of November for shaving, those sorts of things. But the more you grow your audience throughout the course of the year, and don't just put that to sleep in the month that they need it, the better off that you're going to be. The second thing I would tell you is that I would definitely look to leverage modern day technology. How can you incorporate some sort of technological, whether you've got a Fitbit or some other sort of tracking device, maybe it's an Apple Watch. How many people in your healthcare organization could you encourage to participate in some sort of monthly competition, whether it's the floor 5 versus floor 4, whether it's the cardiac unit versus the radiology unit versus the surgical unit, to see how many people within those end up creating much more, as much as commit to be fit. How many steps can you get in a month? You could also do that from a patient perspective as well. There's nothing that says that you can't, from a healthcare perspective, if somebody has a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, have people committing to tracking their steps, engage your patients into a wellness program, and be proactive. Our medicine in the United States is two things: capitalistic and reactive. And there's nothing that says that you can't have a proactive medical type of environment where you can actually email out, create a newsletter as a healthcare service provider, whether you're a physician practice, a chiropractor, you're a hospital. As you grow your database of people, you could put them into some sort of monthly fitness plan. It's pretty easy. MailChimp will give you 2,500 contacts for free, and anything above that's like $50 until you get to the next tier. Incredibly affordable way to engage people. So leverage modern day technology. Create competitions to create wellness programs. The number 3 thing is that I threw out some some daunting tasks with content, right? So the challenging part of contributing these content marketing programs is where are you going to get the content from? A singular marketing person in a large healthcare services organization is going to be pulled in a lot of different directions into a lot of meetings. And it's very difficult, obviously, to be able to create interesting, compelling content on that consistent basis. And especially some of this stuff is, some of it, all of it, a lot of it's medicine, right? It's impacting people's lives. So there's a system of checks and balances that are in place. And there's there's an expertise factor as well. So one of the things that you can do if you're the PR, marketing, communications, content marketing person for a healthcare services organization is rally workers behind you, first of all, from a content sharing perspective. So as you put out content onto your blog and then you syndicate that through social media channels, look to have everybody in the healthcare organization to be a marketing person for you. I talked with a financial person not too long ago, and they said there's like 44,000 people that work worldwide for the financial institution. That's 44,000 marketing people for your organization. So if you're Mercy Health in Youngstown, Ohio, and I don't know, you got 2, 3, 5, 1,000 people that are working at Mercy Health, 80% of the world, 2 billion people, I just got a notification today, 2 billion people around the world are on Facebook. It's like 80% of the population is on Facebook. They log into Facebook on a consistent basis. They spend 30% of their time scouring the web on Facebook. You know that in your healthcare organization, at least half, if not 75%, of the people that are in the healthcare organization are actually on social media, especially on Facebook. Engage them into your campaign to share, like, and comment all the content. Obviously, you have to educate them. You can't, you have to make sure that they're educated to not give away patient information. You're not telling them to post on behalf of the hospital, but you are asking them to share the content. And the way that social media works is that the more engagement that you show, the more organic reach you're going to get. So the more people that like, share, and comment on your content on social media, the more exposure it's going to get. Facebook's actually even shown more of a propensity to show an affinity rating towards not just the liking button anymore with the thumb, but with the heart and the smile and the haha and the emotional emoji likes that they can give you now as well. So I would engage my healthcare organization to get engaged with our social media, share the content as much as you possibly can. You've got to build in people to do that. But I would also then look for contribution of stories, whether it's video or whether it is blog, and the marketing person becomes the editorial person at this point, and scheduling the posts to go out or scheduling the blog, scheduling the information. It becomes your job to go around to the expertise by department and get them to contribute content. Fine line, but patient stories, patient success stories. Every organization does a patient testimonial of some sort. So obviously, whatever your checks and balances are from a healthcare perspective, you want to make sure that you sign off with your regulatory and legal, and go through your paces. But you can obviously share those amazing patient human interest stories are what we want. We want to know how you impacted somebody's life. And that it's a very daunting task from a healthcare perspective to do that. So get people rallied around. Not every physician is going to want to contribute content. Make sure that they know that they're going to be protected, because you're going to have obviously a copywriter, regulatory and legal look at the information to make sure that obviously that there's nothing in there that is suggesting that that can prevent exposure to legal issues, right? There's nothing in there from a patient perspective. Get administration. Why did the CEO, CFO want to become a CEO of the hospital? What was their story from a business and a healthcare perspective of how they made their climb through that organization? Tell the stories of the people, the nurses that work in the middle of the night and care for people from midnight to 6 a.m. That's an amazing story that we would love to hear. The pediatrics. Everybody loves to hear stories about the pediatric market. What are you doing in that space? Do you have a birthing unit? Tell us about the amount of births that are taking place. And obviously, again, like the more people that contribute to your content, you become an editor. You become the editor. You don't have to be the content creator. And then you also then, from a marketing perspective, you're pushing that out. So the thing I want to end with is this. DOYO Live, August 3rd, 2017, we'll have a healthcare component for marketers in that. If you are a physician, if you are a nurse, if you are in that healthcare space as a marketing or business person, this is an awesome opportunity to come to the conference. Our keynote speaker is going to talk about digital transformation, how you stand out in a very disruptive environment, what's needed in today's world to connect. And that's Deborah Jasper, CEO of Mindset Digital. Dr. Mike Sevilla is partnering up with Sean P. Dent. They're going to talk about how they've leveraged social media marketing with their time and not spend a dime to grow their digital healthcare brand 1,000%. It's going to be a very interesting talk. I think that talk's even relevant for anybody, not just not just people in healthcare. Lisa Arledge-Powell is going to focus more on content marketing, but I will tell you this: she's had clients like Ohio State University Medical Center. She's spoken at the Mayo Clinic Social Media Healthcare Summit, and she's a fantastic resource for healthcare people. So there are tracks that are that are at the conference that do have a healthcare related theme to that. And if you're at DOYO Live, again, like I spent 15 years of my career in developing medical imaging centers. It was one of the first people in the country to take to online marketing mechanisms to promote that event. When people or that business at a can't even talk today, at a place in time where people thought I was absolutely crazy to be on social media marketing a medical imaging facility. I will share those articles in the notes below. And if you have somebody that you know that's in healthcare marketing, this is an awesome opportunity to come and connect with other marketing professionals, business owners, physicians. Get your doctor there, get your chiropractor there, get your marketing people there that are in healthcare. August 3rd, DOYO Live. Use the promo code DOYO, DOYO 2017. Save yourself 20% on tickets. Thanks so much for dropping in today.